I'm going to talk about one thing business owners can do to dramatically decrease the amount of pressure that you feel running a business. And I can almost assure you that you're not going to have any idea that this thing is what it is. When you first your own business, especially if it's your first time starting a business, from the very beginning, you get introduced to a very different feeling that you're not accustomed to. Because when you work for somebody else and you go into a job, you are responsible for your job in the work in your particular area within that organization. If you're in sales, you're responsible for your sales. You might manage some salespeople or something else like that. But then there's other people that manage the finances. There's other people that manage the human resources. There's people that handle the marketing and so on and so on and so on. So there's a lot of different functions in the organization. And whatever happens that inspires us to go and start that business, a lot of the times I don't think that we evaluate what it is that we're getting ourselves into or what's going to happen. The first day that we start, all of a sudden we realize that when we were working at a job, we had a slice of responsibility within that organization. And when we weren't there, or if we were sick or on vacation or whatever, there was always other people thinking about all the other aspects that made sure that we were working for a company that was going to continue to live and thrive and grow and all that stuff, right? On day one of our new business venture, we realized that we are the only ones there that are going to be responsible for every single aspect of the company. We go from one slice of the pie to the entire freaking pie. And I don't think a lot of people grasp the level of work, focus, thought that's going to be applied to that, and therefore the amount of energy that you're going to expend. And the challenging thing is it's going to be really difficult to prioritize the things that are going to help you get through all of those responsibilities in a way that's not damaging to your psyche or to your physiology. I'm just going to share from my personal experience and how I view all of these different elements and how they play together. I believe that energy management has a lot to do with the things that our biology, our physiology, and the needs that we need to be able to function, especially in a situation where we're going to be under extreme amounts of pressure. And usually when we're owning a business, that extreme amount of pressure is usually caused because of, right? We've got so many plates spinning, so many things to tackle, all of those additional responsibilities that I talked about a few minutes ago, right? Now they're right in front of us, and we cannot find any time to do anything but focus on those and make sure that we're keeping all those plates spinning and keeping the organization alive. So that's a lot of pressure. If you don't care, you just won't last very long. Your organization will disappear, but it is pressure. So there's one, you think about all of that we go through on a day-to-day basis, whether we're sitting at our desk nonstop, not moving, and then you get up and you're all sore. That's because we're not moving throughout the day and we're causing our muscles to begin to atrophy a little bit. You know, move it or lose it is a very real thing. But everything starts at the end of the day, because the way that we treat the end of the day is the way that our beginning of the day is going to start. When you go to bed at night and you go to sleep, there's certain stages of sleep that have different responsibilities. One of the stages of sleep is deep sleep. And when you're in deep sleep, that's when your body is paralyzed, doesn't move at all. And really that is the segment of time, the sleep stage, where your body is healing itself from any damage. So muscles that are atrophying, whatever else, you bumped your knee, you just extremely worked out, went for a long hike or worked out really hard. You need that deep sleep to be able to heal your body, right? There's another stage of sleep, which is the REM sleep. And if any of you are familiar with when we used to defragment our computers, you'd open up the utilities. In the very beginning, one of my first computers, you'd open up the defrag thing, you'd click the button, and then you'd watch all those little squares shift because the memory was running inefficiently. What that would do is reorganize everything, create more space and more efficiency. But that's the exact same thing that's happening to our brain when we're getting REM sleep, and that's when we're dreaming, right? It's our brain processing all of the information from the day, freeing up more space so that when we wake up in the morning, we've got a nice fresh start with our brain, right? In the way that we feel. I notice this significantly when I play in a poker tournament and have a really long day of intense thinking, decision making, focus, and all that stuff. those days are the days where my brain and my dreams are just flying because everything is getting reorganized. And then we also have light sleep. But when we're sleeping, all of our sleep cycles are in 90-minute cycles. And we need to make sure that we're in bed, opening ourselves up for sleep long enough to get enough cycles to satisfy ourselves physiologically to be able to attack the day. That's why they say the average person needs 8 hours of sleep, because within those sleep cycles that occur within that 8-hour period of time, you're going to get enough deep sleep and enough REM sleep to be able to be fresh. I personally have these biometric device, this thing, Oura Ring that I carry, and that measures everything. I can stay completely in tune. But that's what helped me crack this code, right? So that's the first thing. And then when you wake up, from my perspective, the first thing that you need to be doing, because you've been laying there zombie or laying there like a dead person for 8 hours, is you got to get up and you got to immediately start to move. That's why I get out there and I hike every morning, because it connects me to the earth. It helps me by watching the day wake up. It gives me a new perspective, allows me to think about my day, think about my plans, think about things I'm going to approach. And basically, really, when I get done with that initial movement, I'm ready to hit the road, ready to get going. I feel energized because I feel prepared. But also during that hiking time, my body starts to get depleted of water. And if we don't have enough water in our system, if we don't stay hydrated, our decision making starts to get compromised. We can start to feel anxious. There's all kinds of crazy things that start to happen. Immediately when I wake up and get out of bed, I take my water and I drink it constantly while I'm walking to make sure that I keep my brain nice and moist, my heart nice and moist, and all my muscles so I don't hurt as much. And I know that that's what is necessary and required for me to be healthy. And then I have to think about, what am I fueling my body with? And I am not very good at diet, but I feel like I make up for it in a lot of the other areas. However, that's not acceptable and it's something I need to fix. But you need to make sure that you're having enough protein and you're having enough produce. And the big reason for the produce is not only the vitamins and nutrients, but the fiber, so that we can make sure we don't have any toxicity backing up in our body. And then we also have to think about, we need to take breaks throughout the day. We need to take time for renewal, whether it's an off ramp every hour or 2 hours of work to sit there and just reflect or meditate. We need to make sure that we're just giving ourselves a little bit of balance throughout the day. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of time, even though it may feel like you have so much responsibility and so many priorities to handle that you can't tackle taking 10 minutes to meditate or taking 30 minutes to go for a walk in the morning. Don't bullshit yourself. There is no way you're going to be able to give your body the things that it needs to be able to operate optimally and achieve any level of success in your business before you break or die. And sadly, if you push it to that limit, you may continue to go on and operate underneath that extreme stress for a really long period of time. You may listen to what I'm saying and go, that's not true. I could still make it. I've been doing this for 50 years. But that's just because you're either lucky or you have good genetics. And if you want to trust your longevity on luck and genetics, the other people in your organization, you're not serving them very well, because eventually the luck is going to run out or the genetics are going to deal you a different hand. So I'm telling you, I have found this out. I used to blame all of my pain, all of the misery that I experienced. The reason that I wanted to walk away and stop working again, I blamed it on the fact that I was unhealthily competitive, that I never stopped. But at the core of it, the reason that I felt the pressure and felt every bump and bruise along the roller coaster ride of my business was because I didn't take the time, I didn't prioritize, and I didn't handle the basics. You must handle the basics. And if you start doing it today, you'll realize that your pain starts to fall away almost immediately. So thank you very much for listening to this rambling rant, but this is very important to me. And if you are a business owner, please do not ignore this message. Thanks.